addresses Congress. U.S. gymnastics scandal. The former head coach of the women's gymnastics team found dead hours after he's charged with sexual assault and human trafficking. Stop Asian hate. After a rise in attacks against Asian Americans, the viral campaign to stop violence during the COVID-19 pandemic. Border crossings climb. Tonight from the U.S.-Mexico border. The Biden administration reopens the facility to house migrant children.
I haven't gotten a call back yet from David to see how Paul Giuliani is doing, but I sent him like a voicemail. He's my insurance agent.
Oh, nice.
So if I hear anything, I'll let you know.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. David Mitchell, how are you? How are you, sir? I also have a caller one on the phone. Is there someone other than David on with us?
Oh, hi. My name's Georgie. I'm just a citizen and I wanted to learn more, and I noticed that this meeting was open to the public.
It sure is. Georgie, if you wouldn't mind, just for the record, for the informational hearing, your first and last name, obviously Georgie.
Yeah, my full name is actually Georgiana. It's Georgiana, and my last name is Duram. That's a lowercase de space capital R HA and as in Mary.
Okay, Duram, great. Glad to have you here.
Thanks for making this open.
No problem. I'll give it a minute or two here in case there's anybody else that's looking to log in. And David, I don't know if you can hear me. I haven't been able to hear you, but I see you there. So. There is a chat feature if anybody has anything they want to type in for questions, but we'll also keep this pretty casual with conversation. I'm going to give it 2 more minutes, and at 7:05 I'll get rolling. Georgie, what town do you live in?
I live in South Burlington. I actually recently moved here from Huntington.
Okay, nice.
Yeah,
Welcome.
thanks. Where are you guys from?
I live in Williston, and
Mhm.
our plant here is just down the road from you in South Burlington on Queen City Park Road behind the new Hannafords and just at the Pine Street intersection.
Cool.
So I'm not only the general manager, I'm a I'm a paying customer on the Williston water system.
Nice. You're a stakeholder in two parties.
That's right. Yes. One more minute and we'll get going.
Okay.
All right, we'll get going now. So Georgie, I'm Joe Duncan, and anybody else who may be watching, because I see Town Meeting TV is logged in as well. If anybody else is watching, welcome. I am Joe Duncan, the general manager with Champlain Water District, and I'm here tonight to present what we're looking at for a bond vote for the Champlain Water District General Obligation Bond in the amount of $1,090,607 for construction of various capital assets we voted on town meeting day, March 2nd, 2021. And before I get going too far with this, welcome back, David. Hopefully you can hear us. Thank you for getting back on. And are you able to, trying to see if I can hear you? All right, so so thank you, Pete, for also being here. Pete is one of our board members from Shelburne. Okay, so this bond vote here, I'll give you a little background about who we are, what we do, and then why we're looking at this bond. And so we are Champlain Water District. We are Vermont's largest water supplier. We went online in April of 1973. So we're not quite 50 years old just yet. We are a municipal regional water supplier, which basically means that we sell our water on a wholesale basis to 12 municipal water systems in Chittenden County. And we are a consolidated water district. We are a municipality, so we have all the rights of a municipality. The only thing we do is water. So we don't have any other business other than selling water. So we sell this water to 12 systems in Chittenden County. It's done in 8 communities. There are 12 water systems within those 8 communities. We start out here in South Burlington, where our plant is. We go down to Shelburne, over to Williston, over to the town of Essex, as well as the village of Essex Junction, up to the town of Milton, into Winooski, as far east as the village of Jericho. And then the town of Colchester is unique. They don't have their own water system that's owned by the town. They're actually made up of several fire districts and water systems within Colchester. There are 5 of them, and we serve 4 of the 5 in Colchester. There's Colchester Fire 1, which is St. Mike's area. There's Colchester Fire District number 3, which is pretty much most of the village area and the Camp Johnson area. Then there's Colchester Town, which is kind of a little bit of a misnomer, but It's exit 16 where Costco is and Water Tower Hill. And then there's a little small system called Mallets Bay Water Company that is kind of bounded by Winooski on Mallets Bay Ave, but it's within the town of Chester. And those are the four that we serve. And the city of Burlington has their own system, so they are not part of our district. We do have an interconnect with them where we can supply them water on an emergency basis and vice versa. And then there's also one other system in Colchester called Colchester Fire District number 2, and they actually buy water from the city of Burlington. So there's a little bit of information around about what happens with water in the general county area. So when you look at all this, we are a 70 square mile county service area. There's about, in these 12 systems, there's about 25,000 connections, and we service about 75,000 people within those 12 systems. And as I mentioned, we are a wholesaler, so we provide our water to that system. And then once that water is to that system, there's individual water systems that the town of Williston owns, that the town of South Burlington owns, individual mains that go from our transmission main to your residences and businesses in each of those communities. So that's how we're set up. So you can kind of see here, it's just meant to be sort of graphical, but the blue lines are the mains that we own, and those blue lines make their way out to Jericho and up to Milton and down to Shelburne, and that's our transmission mains that go to each community. And so as a wholesale water supplier, we are very focused on continuity of supply, redundancy, reliability, making sure that we have no surprises so that water is getting to everybody on a 24/7 basis. In order to make sure we maintain that level, we in 2002 developed a master plan, a 20-year master plan. And we're coming up on the end of that 20-year master plan, but it really kind of defined a lot of improvements that we wanted to do over that 20-year period, and really focused in on reliability, redundancy, and making sure that we had a very robust system. And so over those past 18 years, we've done a lot of the projects that were identified in that 2000 master plan. Most recently, we had a bond in 2016 for a water storage tank at our plant, as well as a tank in Williston. Those were all part of our master plan. And then we also passed another bond recently last year for a pump station now in Essex, as well as a redundant water line in Colchester. And I'll talk a little bit about that when we talk about our debt service. And so this whole capital improvements plan that we put together was really looking at trying to use our capital reserves for smaller funds, and then using general obligation bonds for larger capital projects. So that's sort of the model that we were trying to go through with this in getting our master plan put together. And so what we try and look at is these bonded projects to do these larger capital projects. And so we had a bunch of projects that back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s have been paid off. And as they've been paid off, we're used to paying somewhere between $800,000 to $1 million a year in debt service. And so our rate supports a debt service in the amount anywhere, in that, that $800,000 to $900,000, maybe $1 million a year. And so what we like to do is, as debt service falls off, we like to backfill it with a similar amount of debt service that just fell off, so that we don't have to increase the rate, but we are able to construct new infrastructure or replacement infrastructure, because things get old, and as they get old, they get worn, and they need replacement, and they need maintenance. And so we like to look at our infrastructure, put together an asset management plan that reinvests back into our system, so that we don't get to the end of the life of that item and have to put a lot of money into it. So we're constantly looking at as debt service falls off. And so this green is our current debt service. And as you can see, in 2020, it dropped. We did the tank projects, and that brought us back up to around 876. we have some more debt service that's falling off. This red that you see here is this Essex West Pump Station project that we did, that we bonded on last year and passed. And so that backfills and brings that back up to where we want it to be. And then there's some concepts of some future projects that are out there that may or may not happen. But again, the idea is we've targeted some future projects that, again, kind of backfill and maintain that $800 to $900,000 a year in debt service payment that's within the existing rate structure. So ultimately, this whole idea is we reinvest in our infrastructure without resulting in an increase to our wholesale rate to our end users. So that's our mindset going forward. And one of the things we're going to talk about the bond next, but one of the things about the bond is really kind of tied to this projects that you see that are in red, the Essex West Pump Station and Colchester South project, as well as sort of this dip that you see in here that occurred. And so what's happened is we've been able to obtain grants and we've had project underruns. And so that's where this concept of this bond comes in. So very unique amount, 1,090,607. So that doesn't sound, it sounds like a very specific number. And it is because we've had 4 previous bond votes, and all of those previous bond votes have underrun for various reasons. Well, whether we got good competitive bids and they came in under our estimate, or we got grants that allowed us to not have to spend the total bond amount. And so each year we have to report these unused bond authorizations as a liability. And so we got thinking to ourselves, you know, we have some of these projects that have been kind of they're important projects for us, but they haven't risen to the level of putting a bond together to make that investment. And they're within our capital improvements plan to be used for reserves over the next 3 or 4 years. And so the thought is the Vermont Municipal Bond Bank right now is at a historical low. A 15-year loan is around 1.5%. And so we got thinking to ourselves, well, we could wait 3 or 4 years and do some of these projects that total around $1.1 million. Or we could look at using this unused bond authorization that's already built into this model here, because there's underruns that we've experienced that we can take on a $1.1 million bond vote and still be within our current rate structure without looking at a rate increase. And we can do several projects that were scheduled for 3 to 4 years out, and we can do it in today's dollars, where the market is a little bit more competitive at the moment, as well as who knows where inflation is going to be in 3 years. So all that being said, we said to ourselves, well, let's repurpose this excess bond authorization to do a variety of projects within our capital improvements plan, do them in today's dollars, do them now, and really focus on things that we feel are high value, high return on investment, and increases our reliability with our system. And so with that, we've got a variety of projects that we know will bring us into the $1.1 million range, and they're all really focused on system reliability. And I'll kind of walk you through what each one of them is. We've got some stuff that we do down at our raw water pump station that's super critical. We've got some meter vaults that we need to work on, our filter water tank here, particle counting system, some pump variable frequency drives, thermocline, and site fencing. I'll talk about what each one of those is as we go through here. And so we draw water out of Shelburne Bay, right outside of Red Rocks, and about 80 feet down in the lake, about a half a mile out. And we do that using 6 pumps that are, if you ever walk down and find a little overlook in Red Rocks Park and look down and see a little structure down there, that's our intake building. It's got 6 pumps down there. And as they start to age and they start to, it's been 20 years since we've touched those pumps. We took one of them out of service recently and looked at the condition of them. This was the existing condition of that. We wound up refurbishing it, the pump can itself, and then we replaced the motor and replaced the drives. And so we want to do that with the remaining pumps, and we've got targeted over the next 2 years to replace one per year. So we've got 6, we've already done 1, we've got another 2 we want to do, and then ultimately we'll plan to do the rest in the future. But under this one, we have 2 raw water pumps that we want to replace and upgrade. And so that's a key feature for us, because if we don't have water being pumped out of the lake, we don't have water going out to our users, because it comes up to our plant, we treat it at our plant, and then we push it out into the system. So getting it out of the lake and up to our plant is key. One of the other things we're going to use it for is a particle counting system. So we have 8 filters at our plant, and our filters use mixed media, a mixture of garnet, sand, and what happens is all the water comes in, it floats down in, goes through the sand and anthracite particulate, gets filtered out, and we use these particle counters to verify that the filters are meeting the level of treatment that we're looking for. Those are about 20 years old. They're in need of replacement. They're about 10,000 a piece, and so we've got to go through and replace those. We're looking to replace those under this project and take advantage of the bond that's before us to go ahead and do those. They're very key in optimizing and providing a high quality drinking water, and so it's a critical tool that we want to keep in our toolbox to do this. You know, the whole idea here is that we want to improve system redundancy and reliability, as well as physical safety. Right now, our site doesn't have a fence around it, so we're looking to put a plant perimeter fence on there, just so that we can make sure that we have a secure site. Unfortunately, some of the recent activities that you've seen go on, and I know some of it's been cyber related, but there's also been some other physical security issues at facilities as of late, and it's really brought it to our attention that we need to have that here. I think it's great that we live in the Green Mountain State, where I think we live in a very safe environment, but fortunately, we've done some recent work with the Department of Homeland Security, and that was one of their top recommendations to us, was to secure the site from outside access, as well as other things within the plant, but that was sort of the biggest takeaway. We also have, it's called Well 7. There used to be a well out at Camp Johnson that fed the fort, as well as Camp Johnson, as well as Water Tower Hill. And when we went online in '73, we ran our water main up to that and converted it from a well into a meter vault. And the meter vault was below ground and in an old concrete bunker. And we put all our electrical down there, and we're starting to have problems with the electrical down there, as well as some of the aging of the piping and infrastructure in there. And so we did a phased approach where we put a building over top of that to get all of our electrical up out of the ground and into that, and create some space down there to allow us to redo the piping in that vault down there. So we're planning on replacing all the meter vault piping down in that meter vault. That's one of our other projects that we have. And then the last 2 projects I think are pretty interesting. The one is the South Filter Water Tank. A couple years ago, 2016, we passed a bond to put a second filtered water tank in there. We like to have at least 2 of everything where we can for a redundancy standpoint. All of our drinking water, when it comes out of the filters, the last thing we do before it gets sent out is disinfect it. And the first step in disinfecting it is putting it into a big contact tank where we add some chlorine, and that chlorine kills any of the remaining microbiology that might have made its way through the filter. So it's a final contact kill before we send it out into the system. And so we had one filtered water tank. It was called our South Filtered Water Tank. this blue glass fused to steel tank that you see here. And it's been aging, and there's been some issues with the concrete cracking. We've also had some issues with the glass panels starting to leak through, and so it's in need of some repair. Fortunately, we could not take it offline to repair it because it was the only one we had. So we built this new one. So if you ever come down Pine Street and you come to Queen City Park Road, you'll see a whitish grayish tank. That's our new filter water tank, our north one. Now that we have that in service, we can take this tank offline and make repairs that will allow us to extend that tank's life for the next at least 10 to 15 years. So we want to get in there, fix the concrete on the outside, and then fix some of the and seal up some of the internals so that we don't have some of the leaking that's going on and extend the life of that tank. Last project that we have sounds maybe more complicated than it is. It's the lake thermocline system. And so, like I said, we grab water out of Shelburne Bay, somewhere in the vicinity of about where my mouse is there. And so the La Platte is the major drainage system into Shelburne Bay. And so there's a USGS gauging station on there that monitors flow, and we can get a sense of what's going on with the activity in the La Platte, and that tends to influence the water quality within Shelburne Bay. If you think about it, if the river's up flowing high, chances are you're going to get a lot of sediment and debris washing into the bay, like you see in the picture here, especially in when you get the spring runoff, or you get some of those interesting summer storms that we've been getting as of late with that are causing a lot of erosion and flash flooding. So at our intake, we have what we call as a thermocline, and that thermocline monitor measures. It's got in 10-foot intervals. It's got a temperature sensor, and so what we do is over top of our intake, we measure the temperature at 10-foot intervals. So you can see that at the top of the water in the summertime, it's warm at the top, and as you get down towards the bottom, it's cold. You've gone 80 feet down, and so what's interesting about Lake Champlain, and it happens within Shelburne Bay, is there's what's called an internal seiche. And so the lake actually, because of northerly winds at times, but the lake actually flows to the north, to the Ruchelot and St. Lawrence River. You have this water trying to flow north and the wind trying to keep it back. So it causes this rocking of the lake back and forth. So you can kind of see that happening here in the picture here. And so there's times where when there's a thermocline in place, where there's warm water over top and cold water underneath that warm water, if you get a storm, the material tends to stay buoyant and stay up in the warmer water. In the winter, this becomes all cold. Like right now, we're basically 32 degrees, just barely above frozen. And so this is all blue. So if you get a storm that comes along, it really impacts the buoyancy and can allow a lot of that sediment to potentially make its way down into our intake. And so what we do with this thermocline is we know that if we have certain conditions across the levels of our intake, combined with snow, rainfall events, and the information from the La Platte River stream gauge, we've seen enough patterns where we can estimate what we think we're going to see for increased turbidity or increased sediment coming into our plant, and we can proactively adjust our operations at our plant. Consider changing our dosing of certain chemicals to improve removals if we have more turbidity, or take other steps that we might want to. So this has been a really key piece of technology for us, this thermocline system that allows us this next level monitoring of how to prepare for events that occur within Shelburne Bay. So our goal is to construct all this over the next 3 years if the bond vote passes. The majority of the work will most likely be done in 21, 22, but we're giving ourselves a little leeway in case we can't get it all done. goal is in the next 3 years. We would be using a Vermont Municipal Bond Bank loan, looking at a 15-year term with a rate of 1.54%. Our feeling is if we can borrow that at 1.54%, you just look at inflation of what we probably would be constructing this project at 3 or 4 years down the road, we should be ahead of the game. So that's our overall plan. So on town meeting day, we are asking voters to repurpose previously authorized bond indebtedness for a total amount of $1,090,607. And this will not result in any rate increase. And it'll be held on town meeting day. It is Tuesday, March 2nd, which is next Tuesday, at your respective poll locations in whatever community you live, and from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And I'll take any questions or anything you may have based on all the information. I knew I'd probably throw a lot out there at you, but any questions of me? Wow, I either put everybody to sleep or did a really good job. Not sure which. But that is.
Presentation was good, Joe.
Oh, hey, thanks, Pete.
Well
Appreciate it.
defined, and the public, I'm sure, appreciates it.
It answered a lot of my
recommended-
questions. Thank you.
Okay.
Good. Okay. Well, great. So yeah, like I said, it'll be that's what's on the table. Next Tuesday, there should be if you live in South Burlington, Shelburne, Williston, Essex, Milton, Winooski, or Colchester, it will be on the same ballot you have as your town articles. If you live in Jericho, you need to be a Village of Jericho resident, and they will have a individual ballot separate from the town article for you to vote on. Anybody have anything else? I really appreciate everybody coming. And if you don't have anything else for me, I hope you have a great evening and enjoy the rest of the day, and look forward to having everyone vote on town meeting day. Get out and vote. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.